October 20th, 202534, 2 p.m. local time, the South China Sea. Visibility excellent. Seas calm, 2-foot swells rolling over deep blue water. The USS John Finn DDG-113, an Arleigh Burke class destroyer, slices through the surface at 19 knots. Her mission: conduct a routine freedom of navigation operation through international waters, a mission that's been routine 100 times before until now. Inside the Combat Information Center, radar operators detect two large surface contacts closing in fast from the northwest, range 24 nautical miles, bearing 301 and 328 degrees. Their speed rising past 26 knots. The system auto-tags them Track Sierra 09 and Track Sierra 12. The silhouettes forming on radar aren't fishing vessels, and they're not commercial escorts. They're warships, Chinese Type 52D destroyers Luoyang III class, each armed with 64 vertical launch missile cells. The officer of the deck OOD breaks the stillness. Bridge CIC, 2 contacts confirmed. No AIS, no light signal. Speed steady, bearing converging. The captain's voice comes through calm and clear. Maintain course. Maintain posture. Record everything. The first radio hail goes out English, then Mandarin. Chinese naval vessel, this is United States warship conducting lawful transit in international waters. Alter course immediately to avoid unsafe approach. No reply. Only static. Only silence. Minutes pass. The air feels heavier. The electronic warfare suite SLQ 32 volts 6 starts, passively scanning the airwaves. Faint radar emissions pulse back from the Chinese destroyers. Type 364 surface search radar active sweep mode. The CIC technician calls out, "They're watching us, Captain. Not targeting, just watching." "Good," the captain replies. "Let them watch professionalism. On deck, sailors, man, they're watch stations." The camera turret swivels, zooming in across the glittering expanse. Through long lenses, hull numbers come into view: 172 and 175. Kunming and Changsha, 2 shadows of steel rising out of the horizon. Bridge to CIC comms crackle again, CPA under 5 nautical miles. No response to second hail. The OOD glances out over the bow, sunlight cutting along the horizon like a knife edge. The sea is too calm. The kind of calm that carries intent. Inside the bridge, tension simmers just beneath the surface. Voices stay level, procedure steady. Each sailor knows the drill, no one flinches, no one speculates. Every word, every movement, every radar sweep is logged. Because out here in contested water, data is the first line of defense. At 3:51 p.m., the contacts tighten their approach. The 2 destroyers fan out, one veering slightly north, one south, a classic intercept wedge. The OOD calls it out, tone even but clipped. CPA decreasing. Both ships on parallel vectors. Maintain ROE phase 1, the captain orders. Passive observation only. The term sounds sterile, but its meaning is razor sharp. Stay cool, keep eyes on, and don't blink first. Above deck, the air tastes of salt and turbine exhaust. Below deck, the low hum of electronics fills the CIC, the heartbeat of a destroyer ready for anything yet committed to restraint. Crew members exchange quiet looks. No words needed. They've seen this pattern before: a shadow test, a probe, a reminder that peace at sea is always conditional. At 3:55 p.m., range 14 nautical miles. The tension doesn't explode, it tightens. The horizon begins to ripple with heat haze, and through binoculars, the Chinese destroyers' angular hulls emerge like mirages of gray steel. The captain leans forward, elbows on the chart table, eyes locked on the radar scope. "Let them show intent," he murmurs. "We'll show control." Outside, the sea looks calm, but every sailor aboard John Finn can feel it in their bones. This isn't routine anymore. It's the start of something else. Something deliberate. Something calculated. 3:57 p.m. local time, South China Sea. The USS John Finn holds steady at 19 knots, maintaining her legal transit corridor through international waters, but the geometry has changed. The two Chinese Type 52D destroyers Kunming 172 and Changsha 175 are no longer distant blips. They are closing deliberately with synchronized precision. From the bridge windows, the ocean no longer feels open. The horizon has narrowed to a field of movement, two gray silhouettes cutting through the waves, wakes foaming white under their bows. Their bearing angles converge to within a sliver of safety. Closest point of approach projected at 2.7 nautical miles. The officer of the deck's voice slices through the low hum of machinery. CPA, under 3 miles, Captain. Both vessels holding intercept vectors. No deviation. The captain's tone stays calm, almost dispassionate. Copy that. Maintain course. Passive posture. Let the record show. Every sensor on board hums with activity radar, electro-optical cameras, infrared imagers. The SLQ 32 volts 6 electronic warfare suite continues to log the emissions pattern from both destroyers. X-band surface search mode, non-fire control. No weapon systems are locked yet. Down in CIC, sailors move with surgical rhythm. Data feeds light up the screens, range markers, radar echoes, bearing lines, a chessboard of signals and probabilities. Bridge, CIC. Contact steady on heading 145. Both showing minor bearing drift. Adjusted course by 3 degrees port. The captain's jaw tightens. That's a squeeze maneuver. A squeeze when one ship angles in slightly to test response and crowd maneuvering room. It's a message, one that doesn't need translation. Maintain ROE Phase 1, the captain says evenly. No response, no deviation. Record all visuals. The forward 5-inch Mark 45 gun begins a slow, deliberate rotation, 5 degrees starboard. Not to aim, not to threaten, but to be seen. On the bridge wing, the metallic whir echoes through the still air. The move is measured textbook, a visible deterrence posture. From the Chinese deck's binocular lenses flash in the sunlight, they see it. That's the point. Up top on the flight deck, the MH-60R Seahawk helicopter crew scrambles into Condition 1 readiness. Rotors unfold. Fuel lines, detached power systems hum alive. Within minutes, the Seahawk rises off the deck 600 feet of altitude, circling to port. Its FLIR pod locks onto the Chinese destroyers, transmitting crystal-clear images back to the CIC. Visual confirmation. Hull numbers 172 and 175. Crew visible on deck, weapons unmanned. The Seahawk's green laser designator flashes twice, a non-lethal warning signal sweeping across the lead destroyer's bridge. 2 pulses. Steady, deliberate, unmistakable. The naval version of "We see you." Through the FLIR feed, crewmen aboard the Kunming react. A pause, then a shuffle. Helmets glint in the afternoon Sunday. No gestures, no acknowledgement, just awareness. In CIC, the tactical watch officer updates the board. CPA holding 2.7. Both vessels on parallel headings. No fire control emissions detected. Copy, the captain replies. Maintain passive observation. Up in the air, the Seahawk's pilot calls over comms, visual tracking confirmed. Wake pattern tight. They're mirroring our course deliberate intercept formation. Back on the bridge, the mood is taut but professional. The OOD wipes condensation from the glass eyes, steady on the horizon. The captain stands near the radar repeater, one hand resting on the brass edge of the console. They want us to flinch, he says quietly. We don't. The Chinese destroyer's wakes now run almost parallel, less than 3 cables apart. The symmetry is unnerving, almost choreographed. Inside CIC, the EW officer calls out, Captain, new emissions detected, radar mode shift. Surface tracking higher frequency, approximately 4.1 gigahertz. Copy, the captain answers. They're taking measurements. Range profile response. Outside, the Seahawk hovers in the golden light, silent but dominant, recording every movement below. Its camera captures the lead destroyer's bow wave, curling high spray, glittering like shattered glass. Bridge to flight ops, the captain radios. Maintain orbit pattern. Do not cross their line. Show presence, not provocation. Roger that, John Finn. Maintaining 0.7 nautical miles offset. The deck crew stays frozen in their stations. 50 cal mounts are manned. Safeties, engaged gunners motionless. A tableau of readiness without aggression. In naval language, this is deterrence at its most disciplined form. The next 10 minutes stretch thin like wire under tension. Every vibration, every flicker on the radar feels amplified. The sea itself seems to hold its breath. Then a change. From the Seahawks camera feed, the Chinese formation tightens slightly, barely perceptible, maybe 200 meters. Bridge, they're pressing the gap again, the pilot warns. Hold course, the captain replies. They'll make the next move. A long silence. The wind hums around the mast. Then the Chinese ships hold no further closure, no radar escalation. Just presence. Two navies face to face, neither blinking. 4:06 p.m. local time. For nearly 20 minutes, the USS John Finn and two Chinese destroyers, Kunming and Changsha, have held each other in a silent, motionless test of nerve. 3 warships, 3 crews, 1 patch of contested sea. Then the radio crackles a burst of Mandarin carried over VHF Channel 16. You are entering waters under Chinese jurisdiction. Adjust your heading immediately. Inside the Combat Information Center, a dozen heads turn. The transmission is logged, time-stamped, archived. Seconds later, the John Finn's response follows calm, measured, procedural Chinese naval vessel. This is United States warship, conducting lawful operations in international waters, as permitted under international law. Your actions are unsafe. Recommend you alter course immediately. The CIC falls silent. The only sound is the rhythmic sweep of radar and the soft mechanical pulse of the ship's ventilation. Then slowly, the Chinese lead ship's wake begins to shorten. The engines throttle down. Their speed drops from 26 to 22 knots. The second ship mirrors the change following the leader's deceleration. The tactical watch officer confirms CPA widening to 3.2 nautical miles. Both vessels reducing speed. A small but unmistakable shift. No flares, no alarms, just measured distance and understanding. From the Seahawks cockpit, the pilot's voice comes through. Lead destroyer slowing. Wake pattern stable. Formation opening. On the bridge, the captain watches the fading ripples of the sea through binoculars. That's their answer, he murmurs. They made their point. So did we. The encounter's intensity dissolves not in victory or retreat, but in acknowledgement, the unspoken language of professional sailors who understand that at sea, even silence can be strategic. 4:12 p.m. The Seahawk circles high above the formation, its sensors still recording. The infrared camera captures both Chinese ships turning to a reciprocal heading northward, their wakes angling away from the American destroyer's path. The CIC logs the radar shift frequencies drop from targeting band to navigational mode. The emissions flatten, no longer probing, just cruising. Below deck relief ripples quietly through the crew. Shoulders ease. Jaus unclench. But the professionalism remains. Cameras keep rolling. Logs keep filling. In the South China Sea, data is more powerful than gunfire. The captain steps out onto the bridge wing. The light has changed late afternoon. Sun glows on the horizon, gold reflecting off calm water. He watches the Chinese ships receding and says softly, "Presence was the weapon. Patience was the armor." No one claps. No one cheers. The words hang in the air, a reminder that dominance isn't always loud. 4:20 p.m. The Seahawk banks one final time, returning to John Finn's flight deck. The sea returns to rhythm waves, slapping steel engines, humming steady. In the CIC, the final report scrolls across the screen. Encounter concluded. No contact, no provocation, mission complete. But in truth, it's never just one encounter. This was another round in a long series of silent duels, every one part of a broader pattern, shaping the future of the Pacific. Across the South China Sea, China's People's Liberation Army Navy plan has increased its patrol tempo dramatically. Satellite imagery from late September 2025 shows 6 planned warships conducting formation drills near the Paracel Islands, just 200 miles from John Finn's patrol zone. 2 Type 39C submarines were also detected submerging in the same area, the largest undersea deployment in nearly a decade. These actions aren't isolated. They're calibrated, meant to test reactions, gather intelligence, and rewrite the boundaries of routine. For Washington, every passage like this becomes a line in the sand, not a provocation, but a statement that freedom of navigation isn't negotiable. The John Finn Strait course today was more than navigation. It was policy in motion, a living signal that restraint is strength and documentation is deterrence. At 4:30 p.m., the captain gives his final order: resume standard transit. Secure from condition 2. And just like that, the ship exhales, tension dissipating into the open sea. 3 hours of silence that carried the weight of nations. Out here, power isn't measured by who fires first, but by who doesn't have to. The USS John Finn didn't flinch, didn't escalate, and didn't yield. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon at sea is restraint. But that restraint raises a question for every viewer watching this. Should the U.S. Navy start pushing back harder against these Chinese intercepts, or keep proving that calm professionalism wins the day? Drop your thoughts below. We read every single one. If you want to stay on the front lines of real maritime encounters like this, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the fleet. Your support keeps these stories alive, turning real-world naval tension into understanding and respect for those who serve silently where the world meets the sea. Because out here, even patience moves fast.